Have you ever poured your heart into something that not only helped your family, but protected your entire neighborhood only to have it ripped away by people who didn't understand or care? That's exactly what happened to me when my homeowners association decided my rain garden was nothing more than a messy patch of weeds. But what they didn't know was that this messy patch was the only thing standing between their multi-million-dollar homes and a disaster waiting to happen. When my wife and I bought our house at the base of a steep hill, we quickly noticed how water rushed down during storms. The heavy rains would tear through the backyard, pooling dangerously close to our foundation. After researching, I discovered Rain Garden's eco-friendly landscaping designed to capture stormwater, filter pollutants, and prevent erosion. I'm no landscape architect, but I have a background in environmental science. So, I rolled up my sleeves, sketched a plan, and started digging. Over several weekends, I built a basin with native plants, deep-rooted grasses, and stone channels. The garden didn't just look beautiful, it worked. Neighbors noticed that after storms, the runoff slowed down. Their backyards weren't flooding anymore, and even the little creek nearby stayed clearer. My rain garden was silently protecting the entire street. For 2 years, nobody said a word. Then one spring morning, I found a letter in my mailbox from the HOA. It said my yard was in violation of neighborhood landscaping standards. They wanted uniform lawns, trimmed hedges, and approved ornamentals only, according to them. My rain garden looked wild and unmanaged. I appealed immediately, explaining that it was a registered conservation project and even shared documents from the city showing how rain gardens benefit communities. The HOA board wasn't impressed. One member, a woman named Cheryl who proudly called herself a lawn traditionalist, said, "We don't want to live next to a swamp." The letters became more aggressive. Threats of fines, daily penalties, and even talk of restoring my yard to community standards came through. I knew what that meant. They were planning to bulldoze it. I tried reasoning with them. I invited board members over after a rainstorm to show how the garden captured water. Only one showed up, and even then, he muttered, "Doesn't look like much to me." It was infuriating. They didn't understand that beneath the flowers and grasses was a system carefully designed to handle thousands of gallons of stored. One morning while I was at work, I got a frantic call from my wife. They're tearing it out. I rushed home to find heavy equipment in my backyard. The HOA had hired a contractor to level the garden. Plants I had spent years nurturing were torn up. The stone channels were smashed. Everything was flattened and seeded with cheap sod. I stood there in shock. My wife was crying. And Cheryl? She was across the street smiling, arms folded, watching like she'd won some sort of battle. Little did she know, by destroying that garden, the HOA had just removed the neighborhood's best defense against erosion. 2 weeks later, the skies opened. A thunderstorm rolled through, dumping inches of rain in a matter of hours. Without the rain garden to slow the water, it came crashing down the hill like a torrent. My backyard flooded. My basement sump pump struggled to keep up. But the worst part, the water didn't stop at my property line. It carved trenches through my neighbor's yard, ripped out their flower beds, and pushed muddy water onto driveways. I warned them, this is only the beginning, and I was right. By midsummer, after a series of storms, the hill behind the row of HOA, President Cheryl's friends, began to shift. It started small, just cracks in the soil, a leaning fence, some soggy patches that never dried. Then one evening during another downpour, half a retaining wall collapsed. Mud and water slid dangerously close to the back porch of Cheryl's home. Emergency crews came out. Neighbors were shocked. Some called it an act of God, but I knew better. This was preventable. If the rain garden had been left intact, the HOA board scrambled to respond. They sent panicked emails about unexpected drainage issues and asked homeowners to chip in for an emergency engineering study. When the report came back, it was blunt. Significant erosion and slope instability, caused by unmanaged stormwater runoff. The engineers even noted that a previously existing rain garden structure on lower property had provided substantial mitigation before its removal. You should have seen their faces. When that line was read aloud at the emergency HOA meeting, suddenly, my messy swamp wasn't so silly after all. Instead of admitting fault, the board tried to blame me. Cheryl actually stood up in front of dozens of homeowners and said, "He should have told us it was essential." I couldn't believe it. I had literally sent them city documents, invited them to see the garden, and explained its importance in writing. I calmly pulled out my folder of records emails, letters, even before and after storm photos. The room went silent. Neighbors started whispering. Some even glared at Cheryl. Homeowners demanded answers. "Why did you bulldoze something that was protecting all of us?" One shouted. Another added, "Are we paying for your mistake now?" The board tried to adjourn the meeting, but it was too late. Homeowners began circulating a petition to remove several board members, including Cheryl. Within weeks, the petition passed. New elections were held. For the first time in years, the HOA actually had leaders who listened. The new board came to me humbly. They asked if I would help restore the rain garden, not just mine, but a series of smaller ones throughout the neighborhood. They even offered to cover costs and recruit volunteers. I'll admit, part of me wanted to say no. Part of me wanted to let them deal with the consequences of their arrogance. But in the end, I agreed because it wasn't just about me. It was about protecting homes, families, and the environment. Together. We replanted native species, rebuilt stone channels, and created new drainage paths. Neighbors who once sneered at my yard now praised it. Kids helped plant flowers. People finally understood what I had been trying to do all along. And what about Cheryl? After being voted out, she tried to rally support by claiming she was only following HOA rules. But the damage was done. Not only had her property value dropped from the landslide risk, but she became the cautionary tale of the neighborhood. Ironically, her new sod yard washed away after the next big storm. The same uniform look she fought for ended up costing her thousands in repairs. This whole ordeal taught me something powerful. Sometimes the people who fight the hardest against change are the ones who benefit from it most. My rain garden wasn't just a project, it was a safeguard. And when it was destroyed, everyone learned the hard way why respecting nature matters. Today, my yard is flourishing again. Butterflies visit, birds nest in the grasses, and after every storm, the water flows safely into the soil instead of crashing down the hill. Whenever neighbors thank me, I smile and say, "Don't thank me, thank the rain garden."